ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dutch, and Dutch people are known for their bluntness. Not blonde, but blunt. So we are not diplomats, but I also have my roots in India and in Latin America. When my grandmother moved from India to Latin America, she carried with her 2 boxes of gold and silver coins, which she always kept for when bad times come. One she buried in the garden, the other on the attic. Indian households today hold more gold and silver, twice the amount of the Indian central bank. We love it because we think when times go worse, when it's bad times, you should have it. So that's why I'm also doing that. So when bad times come, with these rings I can buy meat, with this I can buy bread, so I can always do it. So I'm going to talk about the future. But most people don't want a future. Most people want today to carry on the next 20, 30 years without any big change of innovation. Well, do you hope that? Not too many innovations, but just quiet life, not too many changes. For the ones among you who hope that, I have bad news. The next 50 years, we are going to see more change than in the past 500 years. So let's have a look at that. A bit of how I work. I always start with my intuition, with my belly, and the older you get and the bigger your belly gets, the wiser that is. But I have an extensive international network all over the world, from scientists, companies, everybody who's helping me. This is a quote from the latest IPCC report of the United Nations, which has never been in the media before. The UN says in the 2090s, that is 65 years from now, humanity will be 800% richer than today. Already in the 2070s, that is 45 years from now, humanity will be 300 to 500% richer than today. If we spend from now on 2% of the world's growing GDP on adapting to climate change, we have nothing to fear. So this is what's happening. So humanity is doing fine. If you're not depressed today, you get depressed of the headlines in the newspapers. Don't get depressed. Don't get depressed. Humanity is doing fine. And a few trends I want to share you about it. So first, the world is going to become wealthier, so we will need more and more and more and more money. And part of it will be digital, part of it will be cash again, because the whole current monetary system is bankrupt. The NATO, this is our former Prime Minister, Mark Rutte, who is now the Secretary General of NATO, and he warns hackers will deliberately attack the digital banking infrastructure, which is very, very fragile, much more fragile than we realize. They will create social unrest by preventing citizens to gain access to their digital money, to ATMs and bank accounts. So citizens in NATO countries are advised to always keep a stash of cash money in case of emergency, says the chief of NATO. And he is right, we should have it. In Holland already, so 1 second. In Holland, every day, 5% of the ATMs falls off, it doesn't work due to technical problems. 5%. So if the ATMs in your neighborhood that doesn't work, how are you going to buy bread? So have a look. The French police is already training its police officers what to do in case all the ATMs fall out. The whole internet falls out. Have a look. This is a training video from the police. Yeah.
J'oublierai jamais ce jour-là. 10 octobre 2020, 17h12. 92e poste, 5000 vues. On était tellement bien. J'ai rien vu venir. cette race. On a perdu notre mémoire.
Un orage électromagnétique a anéanti l'intégralité des données numériques.
Que te reste-t-il à toi dans cette ère digitale qui n'est plus?
J'ai perdu notre mémoire.
The whole digital infrastructure is much more fragile than we are aware of, and hackers or storms or other things can end it. So we should be aware of that. So besides the digital money, we should also have cash. That is one of the things. Now let's look at demographics. In this red area that you see, more people live than the gray area around. And in the old days, they were with many people, but they were poor. Now they are with many people and they have money. Because this is China now. Have a look. Humanoid robots. All powered by artificial intelligence, all of it, and they have now this coalition of the BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. All of them, their currency is based on the gold standard that we in the rest of the world left behind in the 1970s, following the example of the American President Richard Nixon. But they still have the gold standard. They have lots and lots of gold. Their currency is based upon gold. But they are now thinking of creating one new BRICS currency. And if that is going to happen, this new BRICS world reserve currency could compete with the US dollar and the euro. We don't know yet what they are going to do, but in the financial press, many people are afraid it is a mortal threat to the West. So, but what they want is to create a currency based upon the value of their oil, natural gas, uranium, gold, silver, thorium, etc., etc. So this is interesting because in this way they are going back to the old days of the Egyptians. I'm going to come to that. Be aware of that. The world's now divided in two blocks. The global north, these are the blue countries. The global north are now the richest countries in the world, but also the fast aging countries in the world. And the global south, which are poorer, but they have a demographic dividend of an enormous amount of young people. And the global north is investing now a lot of money in the global south, so a lot of the money for the whole world will be made there. The Dutch pension funds, for example, invest a lot in India because they have young people there and we can make money there so we can pay our pensioners. And the Japanese pension funds already, they invest only in the global south so they can pay the Japanese pensioners. So that is very, very smart. It's happening everywhere. And have a look at how it was, because we are now talking about China. But in 1820, China was already the largest economy in the world. Have a look. This is what's happening until now. America was the new kid on the block then. China was number 2. today, the Chinese economy is already the largest in the world, and we are not aware of it yet. America is number 2, India is number 3, but India is expected, due to its demographic dividend and the enormous investments of Western countries and Western parties in India, to go to number 2. But this is interesting to see. So this is what's happening. So the world economy is growing, but it is the total cake is growing. No one is getting poorer. Everybody's getting richer. Western countries, even if we are aging, if we can finance aging and healthcare is okay. If we become a renters nations, if we invest in the countries with young people, then it's okay. But have a look at the world population. The fertility rates in 1970. In 1970, you see part of the blue parts are the parts where people get 1 to 2 children per household, per family. The other parts, they get zillions of babies. And have a look how it changed in 2014. Almost all of the world has become blue, except Africa. So what is happening today? The world population is today 8 billion people, will grow to the end of the century with 10 to 11 billion people, and then the next century it will cut down in half. Next century we are going back to 2 to 5 billion again. So this is what's happening. So we're going to get very wealthy this century, but we have to share it with a bit more people, but the generation after us will inherit so much money, so they will even need more money. So in this fast-changing world, playing it safe is one of the riskiest things you can do. So don't play it safe. Take risks. We have now the euro in Europe, but the predecessor of the euro is the thaler. The thaler was the currency of the Austrian-Hungarian monarchy, and the thaler was made of sterling silver. It was so popular that it is even still today used in India and the Middle East and Northern Africa. The American dollar was named after the thaler. Have a look at this German song from Bavaria. So the market for gold and silver coins is timeless. It is timeless, and it has another reason. Okay, so the world economy, again, you see how it is growing. America is not getting poorer. America is getting richer, but the other ones are getting richer as well. China in 1970 was poorer than Somalia. Look where they are now. So this is what's happening. So we are doing very fine. Of course, once in a while we have a little setback. As the chief economist of the Bank of England says, the banking crisis of 2008 has been as bad for the economy as a world war. That is the scale we are talking about. If we are fortunate, the cost of that crisis will be paid for by our children. More likely, it will still be paid for by our grandchildren. So beware of, but how is the world going to look like?
Megastructures
This
will dwarf today's skyscrapers, while earth scrapers will tunnel 25 stories deep or more. Underwater cities are likely to become a reality, using the water itself to create breathable atmospheres. Some of us will be travelling the skyways with our own personal flying drones, some strong enough to carry entire homes around the world for holidays. LED room surfaces will adapt to suit your mood. We will download dishes from famous chefs and 3D print everything from gourmet meals to our favourite cakes in minutes. Our working lives will be transformed with holograms, allowing us to attend meetings virtually. Step-in home Medipods will confirm if you are really ill, providing a digital diagnosis and supplying medicine or a remote surgeon if needed. The next giant leap will see Earth as solar century as we start colonising space. First the moon, then Mars, and then beyond, out into the galaxy.
I think that last one is a bit too wild, although Elon Musk believes it, and we will see. Probably we will. But it is interesting. So if the world is going to look like that, of course we have to go through some shifts. In 1500, 80% of the world's GDP came from China and India. India was then governed by Emperor Babur, the first gay emperor of India who had a male harem. He wrote in his diary, "Hard times create strong men and women, the strong people. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times." If you look at it, in what phase are we now in Europe? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Who says 1? Who says 2? Who says 3? And who says 4? Okay. The bad news is we are in 3 and 4, and the good news is after this we will get to 1 again, because Europe will become one big Disneyland for the whole world, and we're going to make zillions and zillions of money with tourism. So don't worry about it. And if our pension funds invest a lot in young economies, don't worry. The Dutch did it in the 18th century. We invested all the money that we made in the golden age, the 16th century, in the rest of the world, and we made so much money that we could live, we could do nothing. We could just lay in the sun, and if there is sun, and do nothing. So don't worry, we will become a renters nation and a tourist nation. So that's fine. And a lot of them will pay cash. A lot of these tourists will pay cash. But another issue that people are not aware of digital banking is the privacy risks. Because in China, everything is digital. But if you do something that the Communist Party doesn't like, they block your bank account immediately, and you can't do anything, you can't get to your money. Have a look at that, because that's going to happen here as well. This is Lebanon. Have a look. This is Lebanon last year. A man had $200,000 on his dollar bank account. The bank refused to give it to him because they wanted it for something else. So the man attacked the bank. He hijacked. Have a look. This is the future of digital banking.
بعدين في مذيعين اثنين مثلك جوا كمان انت ضربهم بسام طلع واحد طلعنا واحد طلع واحد بدك تروح تجيب المصاري ما في حدا غير من هيدا القرعه ليجيب المصاري.
Your money in the bank is not really yours. That is one thing you have to be aware of, because the Dutch central bank says that we are going to get the central bank digital currency. All over the world, they are going to roll it out. All central banks in the world want the central bank digital currency. So here in Europe, we are going to get the digital euro, and we are going to get the digital European identity. If we are going to get that, we are going to get the Chinese system here. This is the Chinese system, social credit system. The cameras see everything you do.
我们可以追溯到说，出现每一张脸都可以对应说他的身份证，以及他所经过，比方说在过去1周，我们回溯他的行经路程，我们也做了像人和车的匹配。那同时在人上匹配还包括亲属关系匹配，然后是你经常接触人员之间匹配。就是当摄像机布到或者我们传感器布到一定密度的时候，其实我们会经常知道你跟谁经常在一起。
If this year we are going to get the digital euro and the digital European identity, this is what's going to happen. And when you join the dots, you will see ultimately it leads to the central bank digital currency. And when they can control your money, they control you. That is the game plan in all of this. Because the world, the global monetary system is bankrupt, and this is their way to save it. But there is a little problem. There is one man with strange hair, Donald Trump, who promised that he would end the CBDC in America. And I thought he would not do it because the bankers would kill him. He did. Within 1 week after coming to power, Donald Trump ended the CBDC in America. So maybe we should, but the stupid European Central Bank is not doing it, so maybe we should invite Donald Trump to govern Europe as well. That would help, because the CBDC is pure poison. It's pure poison, and it's happening today. And while we are playing on TikTok and everything, this is happening today. So, but the CBDC is poison. On the other hand, look at how digitization is happening. This is from 1930 to now, how we human beings spend our free time. Oh, it doesn't want to work, doesn't matter. So, inflation risks continue. Inflation all over.
Ik heb een vraag.
This is the best economist of Holland. He's on the board of the central bank. He got a question on an investor's company.
Ik heb een vraag, want ik ben verontrust. Ik begrijp het niet meer. Dat is dat bijna alle nationale landen hebben enorme schulden opgebouwd. En tegelijkertijd zien we een enorme geldvermeerdering door de Fed en nu door de ECB. In duizenden miljarden funny money. Kan dat goed gaan? Ik begrijp het niet meer. Goeie vraag.
Weer een uitstekende vraag. Ik kan u één ding zeggen over het financieel systeem, monetair systeem wat we hebben. Dat is natuurlijk gewoon failliet. Het financieel monetair systeem wat we hebben is failliet. Ik zeg niet een bank failliet, maar het systeem is failliet. Dus wij moeten veel meer investeren in de samenleving en ons minder afhankelijk maken van het financieel systeem.
So we should invest more in society and make ourselves less dependent from the global financial system, digital financial system. So that's also what we have to do, because this is the future, but your gold coins and your silver coins will never end like that. So, and look at all the inflation, and look at all the debts, because all these debts will never be paid. And have a look at Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world, what he says about inflation.
Inflation, Keynes said it many years ago that it's an invisible tax that only one man in a million really understands, and it's a tax on people that have had faith in their currency that the government's issued. It's interesting in the United States. The value of the dollar since I was born has declined by 94% to 6 cents. So inflation is a very cruel tax on people who believe in fixed dollars.
Inflation is a very cruel tax on people who believe in a fixed dollar or a fixed euro or a fixed pound or whatever. So this is what's happening. So the dollar is actually only 6 cents worth. I think the euro is the same. So this is what's happening. But your gold coins and the silver coins that my grandmother brought from India to Latin America are still worth the same. So that's what we're going to need. So we're going to need that as well. And then the return of history. That is the last one before you are shocked so much that you will need alcohol to... Here in Europe and also in Germany, the Green Party, the Green politicians and the Green parties are telling us we're all going to die of hunger because the climate change and all of this bullshit. This is a recent research from Mr. Lomborg from Denmark, one of the most influential men in the world. He says the world food production, have a look at it. It is, you can see it. So, on the left, if there is no climate change at all, the world food production will grow 51%. And if we get the most extreme climate change, the world food production will grow 49%. So it's only 2% difference. So don't worry about it, and don't vote for the Greens in the next coming elections. Because they are going to kill you. And let's go back to Egypt. In ancient Egypt, let's have a look, Egypt.
Imagine living in a world where your taxes aren't paid with cash, but with honey and grain. Welcome to ancient Egypt, where the tax system was as unique as their pyramids. Instead of coins, Egyptians paid their dues with valuable commodities. Honey, considered a luxury and used in various medicines, and grain, the staple of their diet, were common tax payments. This system supported a vast bureaucracy and the lavish lifestyles of the pharaohs and priests. But think about it. How would you feel paying your taxes in honey today?
Why not? Because all over the world, the food prices are rising and rising and rising due to food inflation. So why doesn't, let's say, the German Association of Farmers launch a new currency, a currency based on the value of food? Why don't they do that? And they say, look, okay, we come with it. Because the Egyptians didn't carry around their honey and their grains. The Egyptians 6,000 years ago invented the first banknotes. So one banknote was the value of 10 kilograms of grain in the warehouses of the pharaoh. The other one was 10 liters of honey in the warehouse of the pharaohs. Why don't we, the Association of Farmers in Germany and the France and England, they can all do the same. Say, okay, we create our own, we launch our own new food currency. This banknote is good for 10 kilograms of pork. This banknote is good for 10 kilograms of potatoes. That banknote is good for 10 kilograms of beef. And then people can survive and do everything without food inflation. That is one of the things. The Chinese did it with silk. The name Silk Road comes from the time when the Chinese paid everything in silk.
Hey, did you know that in ancient China, silk was literally like money? Yeah, back in the Han Dynasty, silk wasn't just a fancy fabric. It was actually used as currency. People traded it for goods, paid their taxes with it, and even settled debts using silk. That's how valuable it was. What's even cooler is that China kept the secret of how to make silk totally locked down for centuries. They had all this economic power because of it, especially with the Silk Road connecting them to the rest of the world. So next time you see silk, remember, it wasn't just for fancy clothes, it was as good as gold.
So China kept the secret of silk for itself, and that's why they could pay everything. All the soldiers were paid in silk. But the BRICS countries are now want a currency based on their oil, on their gas, which we need, on their uranium, on their thorium, on all the rare earths that they have, because they have enormous amounts of rare earths that we need. So then we will get a bit the same idea that the Chinese and the Egyptians had, but it's coming back in a new way. Because history always repeats itself, but in a new way. And as the Holy Book of the Indians says, the raft of knowledge ferries the worst sinner to safety. So everything, everybody of us can be ferried to safety. So don't worry at all. So to conclude, money is also mysterious. And as Einstein used to say, the most beautiful experience we human beings can have is the mysterious, the fundamental emotion that stands at the cradle of true art and true science. And that is true. So this is all that is going to happen. And we human beings, we are not just born just to pay bills and die. We are born to be much more. So you have to be brave, and even if you're not, pretend to be. So all great changes in the world are preceded by chaos. And we are living now today in the age of chaos, as the old Greeks used to say. And chaos in Old Greek means the big void, the big black void in which everything moves from left to right, up to down and what. And the old world order transforms to the new world order. That's what's happening now. And when all is finished, this is how it will look like.
Een volk van man.
This is how it will look like.
Adjiedj, ik hou van je.
shift happens. Change is coming anyway. And everything I told you about and everything that I showed is already here. It's already here and it's already happening behind today's headlines. But most people will just experience the shift. But you are the ones who are going to make the shift. You are the leaders of the shift, and you can do it. Good luck and be brave. And if you're not, pretend to be. Thank you very much.